We all eat, right? It's something we do every single day, most of the time without even thinking about it. But what if I told you that every single bite you take is the result of this huge, complex negotiation between your brain, your body, and the entire world around you? Let's unpack the real reasons we eat.
So let me ask you this. I'm willing to bet every single one of us can say yes to this question. You know the feeling. You've just had a massive dinner, you're totally stuffed, but then dessert comes out, and all of a sudden you've got a whole separate dessert stomach. Or maybe you just find yourself mindlessly grabbing snacks while you're watching TV. So what is really going on there?
Well, it's because eating is never just about fuel. It's this incredible intersection of our biology, our physical needs, our psychology, so our feelings, and the unwritten rules of our culture. So let's start peeling back these layers, and we're going to start with our own bodies.
First up, more than just hunger. Because even on the most basic level, that rumbling in your stomach is about way, way more than just feeling empty. Okay, so at its absolute core, this is what it's all about. Food is fuel. It gives our bodies everything they need to function. We're talking the energy to get through the day, the specific vitamins and minerals that keep all our internal systems running like they should. This is the physiological baseline for why we have to eat. So how does your body actually know when it's time for more of that fuel? Well, it turns out there's this constant, really complex conversation happening inside you, and it's all managed by one brilliant little command center. And these are the two main players in that conversation, hunger and satiety. Hunger is that go signal. And what's interesting is that it can be triggered by an empty stomach, sure, but also just by seeing or smelling something delicious. Satiety, on the other hand, is the stop signal. It's that feeling of satisfaction and fullness that tells your brain, okay, yep, we're good for now. And where do all these signals get processed? Right here, in the hypothalamus. You can seriously think of it as the air traffic controller for your appetite. It gets all the incoming messages from your stomach, your fat cells, your hormones, and it's the one that makes the call on whether you feel hungry or full. Now, this is where it gets really cool. That stop signal isn't instant. It's actually a really smart feedback loop. As you eat, your stomach literally stretches. Hormones get released in your bloodstream, including a really important one called leptin. All of these signals are just racing to your brain's control center, the hypothalamus, to deliver one simple message. Hey, we're good down here. You can stop eating now. But, we aren't just biological machines. Our minds and our emotions add a whole other, much messier layer to why we eat. So let's get into the psychology of a plate.
And here we have it, emotional eating. I mean, for so many of us, food is comfort. When we feel bored or stressed or even a little sad, reaching for a snack can feel like a warm hug. It's a coping mechanism that really has nothing to do with physical hunger at all. And then, of course, there's the sheer pleasure of it all. Food is a full-on sensory experience. The way it looks, that incredible smell, the complex tastes, even just the texture in your mouth. All of these things can trigger a desire to eat, making it a genuinely enjoyable activity all on its own. Okay, so we've covered the body and the mind. Now let's zoom out even further. Because the world we live in, the people around us, and the culture we're raised in, they pretty much write a very specific menu for our lives.
Just think about how rarely we eat completely alone. Eating is it's fundamentally social. We use it for everything from showing hospitality to guests to defining our identity with our friends. Our entire day is often structured around culturally decided meal times, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And this quote right here just hits the nail on the head. The way you eat, what you eat, even how you prepare it, these aren't things you just decided on yesterday. These are behaviors you learned as a kid, and they get passed down, connecting you to your family and your heritage. All right, let's zoom out one last time to the biggest picture of all, the world that feeds us, and all the systems that decide what even gets a chance to make it to our plates. Your plate is shaped by these huge forces you might not even think about. There are physical factors like the geography and climate where you live, which determine what can even be grown locally. Then you've got economic factors like your income and the cost of food, which dictate what you can actually afford. And finally, legislative factors like food safety laws, which shape the quality and price of everything in the supermarket. So once a culture has its ingredients, it doesn't just throw them all together randomly. No, it creates rules. It creates this kind of unspoken blueprint for what makes a proper meal. And this chart basically shows that blueprint in action. Most meals are built around core foods. Those are the staples, like rice or bread. Those are then paired with secondary foods, like vegetables and meat. And then you have the peripheral items, the stuff you only eat on special occasions, like a birthday cake. And what's wild is that every culture has its own version of this basic structure. So, when you bring it all together, what you're left with is this. Your plate isn't just a plate of food. It's the finish line of this incredibly complex negotiation between your body's needs, your mind's desires, and the massive framework of the world you happen to live in.
So the next time you sit down to eat, just take a second, look at your plate and ask yourself, what's the real story here? Is this my biology, my emotions, or my culture talking right now? You might actually be surprised by the answer.